Yeah. Hi. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we'll the course is mainly related to network security, right? So before we going for security, first we need to have some basic understanding about the network basics. Like what is a host, what is an IP address, and what is router, what is switch. All these things. There are many things actually in the basics. We need to have some basic understanding about that. Okay. So let's go through basics and we'll get some knowledge on that. So there is a term called host. Okay, so host is nothing but a device which can send or receive the information is called host. Suppose like if you can say in your mobile. Okay, mobile you are trying to access something from the browser. Okay, so you are using a Chrome. Consider you are using a Chrome browser and you are trying to access some some information today weather. So what happened? Your mobile is sending some information, right? So sending some request to a server to get the information, right? So your mobile is capable of sending and receiving the information, right? So
yeah,
so we can say any device which can have the capability of sending or receiving the information, that is called host. Okay, it's not only a mobile, we can say a computer also. So like we can browse anything, like we can launch any application. So we can do it like a number of things, right? Like to send and receive information. It's not only for browsing. Okay, suppose your computer is there. Okay, and there is some printer. Okay, so here like you are sending some information to the printer to print, right? Suppose like you have a document here and you are trying to print it. Okay, so you are sending some information to printer saying that to print the document. Okay, so here also like you are able to send the information. So we can say computer also a host. Even printer, if you can say in case of printer, it is capable of receiving something, right? Some information from the computer or something. So we can say printer also a host. So any device which can send or receive the information is called a host. Okay, clear? What is host?
yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. So let's like this is about like terminology called host. Okay. So we can have one more thing called network. So the combination of host is called network. Okay. So the combination of consider it's a mobile or computer. I think like in the demo class we discussed about if you have like many users in the organization, they need to have some access to printer, server, or scanner. Okay, so they are connected together, right? So like a combination of or connecting of multiple devices is called network. Multiple devices in the sense it's a host which can send or receive the information. Suppose you're having consider this an organization. So here you're having a computers, like a number of users are there, they want to access printer, and they have some file server is there, they want to scan something. Okay, so like whatever the device it is there in the organization, it has the capability of sending and receiving the information and they're connected together. Okay, so this combination is called network. Okay, and when it comes to networking, okay, so the communication between these devices is called networking. That's it. So host which can send or receive the information is called host, and network is nothing but a combination of hosts is called network, and networking is nothing but the communication between, see, they're connected together, but the communication is possible, right, between the hosts which are connected to it, so that is called networking.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is about what is host, what is network, and what is networking. Okay, so let's go further. So we have consider MAC address is there. Okay, so MAC stands for media access control. Okay, MAC stands for media access control. So what is MAC address? Let's see. Okay, so if you can see for your mobile, you're having some IME number, right? Some physical address.
Yeah,
For each SIM, like physical address will be there, right? So like the physical address of any device is called MAC address. Okay, so like
okay.
if you can say your computer also. Okay, so each, not only computer, take any device which is called host. Okay, so it having some capable of receiving and sending information, right? So any device which is a host, take it, so it should be consist of some physical address. Okay, so that is called MAC address. Okay, and it's a 48-bit address or 6 byte we can say. Okay, so 48 bits, right, what is bit? Like the zeros and ones is called bits, right?
Yeah.
Zeros and ones is called bits. Okay, so like MAC address is a 48-bit address, or like we know 1 byte is equal to 8 bits, right?
Yes.
So we can say MAC address is a 48-bit address or 6 byte address.
Six.
Okay, so here what happened, each 8 bits, okay, like these are 8 bits, right? 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Sorry, somewhere I
40.
missed 32. 1 second, somewhere I missed. Ah, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so these are 6 bytes, right? 8 plus 8, 16, 16 plus 8, 24, 28 plus 4, 32. 1 second, bro. There's something I'm missing. 6 is 48 only, right? Yeah, yeah. So like these 6 bytes, what happened? Like each 8 bits. Okay, each 8 bits will be divided into 1 byte, right? So we can say it's a 6 byte address. Okay, so here like each byte is separated with some commas, I can say. So here as we are having six in total, so first three bytes are related to organizational information, like the who is manufacturing the device. Suppose if we can say like this device what we are referring to, consider it's a Samsung mobile. Okay, so consider like it's a product from Samsung. Okay, so here first 3 byte information is related to the organizational unique identifier, like the organization details. Okay, and the other 3 bytes is related to like network interface card, like the mobile, we can say like IME number. Some, if you can take a printer, okay, it should be having some MAC address. It's a physical address. Okay, so first three is related to the printer, who is manufacturing that, and the other three is related to the specific device. Okay, and this MAC address will be represented in hexadecimal notation. Okay, so hexadecimal notation, like we know, right? If you can remember in the BTech, we learned about like what is binary numbers, what is decimal number, what is hexadecimal. Hexadecimal is a combination of alphanumeric values. Okay, and so we can represent MAC address by using hexadecimal notation. See, I mean, not we are referring to the one who is manufacturing the device. He will represent the physical address in the hexadecimal notation only. Okay, and it can't be modified, because we won't be able to modify the physical address of any device. Okay, so is it clear about like what is MAC address? Is it-
Yes.
yeah, it's a physical address of any network device, and it should be having 6 bytes. First 3 bytes related to the man who is the owner of the product, I can say, and other three is related to
Network interface.
the device we can say, network interface card. Okay, and here like MAC address, it can be represented in the hexadecimal notation. Okay, this is about MAC address. And one more thing, this MAC address, it can't be modified at all, because it is providing by the like manufacturer itself, right? And there is no need of modifying also, and we won't be able to modify also. Okay, this is about MAC address. And so if you can see, it's a kind of network device it is. Okay, so here like it like this MAC address will be physically attached to the hardware of the device. Okay, so see here, this is the MAC address of a device, so you can be able to see that. Okay, this is a small example I can say. Okay, and if you want to see like your computer. Okay, so you logged into your computer. Okay, if you want to see your what is your MAC address. Okay, so let me show you on that. Okay, we have a command called ipconfig/all. If you can give, this is a command actually. Okay, so open your command prompt of from your laptop. I hope you are joined from the laptop only.
Yeah. Yes.
So open command prompt and type ipconfig/all. Sorry. So if you can see here, like I'm able to see my MAC address. See, this is the physical address of my Wi-Fi. Okay, and if you want to see like I connected to like different things. Okay, so whatever I have ports here. Okay, so I connected different things, so it is showing their physical interface addresses. Okay, you got the point.
Yeah, yes.
So if it's I connected to a Wi-Fi router, okay. So if you can see, whatever the router I connected to, it is showing its physical address. That is the MAC address of that. Okay. So this is how we can see the MAC address of the device. And if you can see, see whatever the devices you are connected to here. So it is showing all the things. Okay. So I connected to I can say a Bluetooth device. That is headset. It is showing its MAC address because I connected to some interface. To my laptop. Okay. So it is showing all these things. Okay. If you can say if you want to see exact IP address, okay, where you connected to, this is how you can see your physical MAC address. Okay, so next we have one more thing called IP address. Okay, so IP stands for internet protocol. Okay, so IP stands for internet protocol, and anything whatever the world it is running now. Okay, irrespective of whether you are trying to access any browser, anything. So which is all regarding with respect to IP address only, it is possible now. Okay, so suppose you are trying to access any website. Okay, so when you turn on your mobile, you will be assigned with some IP address. Okay, so when you connected your laptop, okay, to any Wi-Fi network, you will be assigned with some IP address. Okay, so any device which can send or receive the information, it should be assigned with some IP address. Okay, so we can say host, right? Host is nothing but which can send or receive the information is called host. Okay, so here to send or receive the information, it should be having the IP address assigned. Okay, so each device in the network, it should be assigned with an IP address that is called logical address or IP address. Okay, so here IP address is 32-bit address, and 32 bits starting from consider that each 8 bits are separating with a dot notation. Okay, so this is 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits. Okay, so in general, how we can say, let me show you. So in general, how it would be 0.0.0.0.04567 dot, like this it goes on. Okay, so we can say each one is called one octet. One octet or one byte, okay, or 8 bits. So the starting of the IP address, we can say everything is 000. I can say 0.0.0.0, and highest what we can keep in the 8 bits 1.111, right? You got my point. See,
Yes.
see here bit is nothing but either 0 or 1. Okay,
Also
so in each bit what we can keep, see 8 bits we are having in each octet. Okay, so we can keep either 0 or 1. So minimum is all zeros, maximum is all ones, right? So we can say here we have the minimum IP address are all zeros, maximum IP address are all ones. So this one we can represent in the decimal notation. So we can say in the numeric values. Okay. So if you convert these binary values into numeric, that is decimal 0.0.0, it will come. Okay. And the maximum is 255.255.255.255. Okay. So these are the range of IP addresses what we are having in the world. Okay. Hello.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So each 8 bits are separating with the dot notation, and these 8 bits are in general, if you can say, it will be the binary address, but it will be very hard to remember all these things. Okay, so that's why these binary addresses will be converted internally to a numeric value, that is decimal value. Okay, so we can say now we have the IP addresses starting from 0.0.0.02, 255.255.255.255. Okay, these are the range of addresses we are having now. Okay,
Okay.
so among them, if you can, type anything, like from your computer. Okay, if you can go to your settings and if you can say type IP address. Okay, you'll be able to see an IP address within this range only. If you observed any time.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
so so, so with the help of that, we have assigned with an IP address. Okay, and this we have more detail on these addresses are there, right? The range of addresses 0.0.0.0 to 255. Again, this will be classified into multiple classes. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, something like that, and private IP address and public IPs, everything will be there. Okay, we'll discuss on later on classes. But for now, what I want you to understand is that IP address is nothing but it's a logical address which is assigned to a device when it's connected to the internet. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So if you connect it to, like, if you turn on your mobile, you'll get an IP address. Okay. If you turn off your Wi-Fi adapter, Wi-Fi in your laptop or mobile, okay, you won't be able to get an IP address. So
Okay.
here, like assigning of IP addresses will be done by one, a server called DHCP server is there. We'll discuss about the DHCP server later on. But for now, what I want you to understand is that what is an IP address? Okay, when we'll get it? Okay,
Okay.
and how IP address is noted. I mean, like we'll be able to what I can say represent. Okay, so we can represent the IP address in the decimal format. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So here, one more thing I want you to tell you. Okay, so we are accessing something. Okay, so we are having IP address. Okay, but what we are trying to access, suppose you are trying to access some google.com only.
Okay.
So google.com you are trying to access. Okay, so like what is google.com? We don't know, right? Where it has to reach. Suppose you are trying to fetch some information from Google. Okay, what is weather today? You want to fetch weather information. Okay, so what you do first, you try to access google.com. From there you are trying to access weather, right?
Yeah.
What's the weather now? Okay, so first you want to reach the google.com. So here google.com is internally, it's a kind of we can say it DNS is there, one terminology called DNS, that is domain
Domain.
name system. Okay, so here what happened, it's a kind of phone book. Okay, so suppose in your mobile, okay, you are having multiple n number of phone numbers will be there, right? If you remember, if you see your mobile, you'll having n number of contacts in your mobile, but it will be very difficult for you to remember all the mobile numbers, right? You got my point? See, suppose you're having like 10 mobile numbers, 10 contact numbers in your mobile. It will be easy for you to remember. Okay, like so and so person like 98483, so and so person like 784, something like that. Okay, but what if you are having hundreds of mobile numbers? It will be
Yeah, it's been difficult to remember.
difficult to remember, right? So that's why what we are doing, we are keeping some name and saving the mobile number, right?
Yeah.
So what you are doing now you are searching for the name. It will be easy to remember. Okay, but number it is difficult. So you are searching for the name and you are dialing the name, but internally what happening to the mobile number what you saved there, for that number only the call is going, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in the similar fashion, though you type google.com or facebook.com, any website, not like restricted to Google, Facebook or something, any website, if you're trying to access from any browser or something, okay, internally it will be converted to IP address. Okay, you got my
Okay.
point?
Yeah.
So anything you are trying to access from browser, okay, so like we won't be able to remember this IP addresses, right? Because there is, like, almost millions of IP addresses are there. If you can see 0.0.02, 255.255.255.255. How it will come, I'll show you here. Okay, so 0.0.0.1, 0.2, like this 255 will come, and then once it is 255 done, then 0.0.1.0, 1.1, 1.2, like 1.255. Again 255 done means then 2.1. Like that, how many number of IP addresses it will be there? It will be very hard for you to remember. So that's why if you want to access anything, the IP address will be mapped with some name. Okay, so we can say whatever from where we are trying to access is a host which is having IP address, and what we are trying to access is a host, it's having some IP address. Is it
Okay.
clear?
Yes.
Any doubts? John, clear? Huh?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. So so one more thing I want you to let you know here. Okay. So this IP address will be changed automatically. Okay. So not if you connected to mobile network. Okay. Okay. If you connected to your mobile network, so you just turn on your mobile network. Okay. So you get some IP address. Okay. But if you turn off your mobile address and you connect it to Wi-Fi network, Wi-Fi whatever is there, so you'll be assigned with some other IP address. Okay. It's not the same. Okay.
Okay.
So whatever the network you are connected to, it is a mobile network, is mobile network again we are having many, right? Like BSNL, Vodafone, Geo, there are many. Okay. So the IP address will be changed. So that's why we are calling IP address is a logical address. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is about IP address and MAC address. Okay. So IP address, if you want to see in your computer, okay. So let's see, like what IP address I got it. Okay. So like open command from your mobile, not against mobile, from your laptop, type ipconfig. Okay. So if you can see here, like this is where I connected wireless Wi-Fi. Okay. So this is the IP address which is assigned to me. Okay. Able to see, right?
Yes.
So what is the IP address which is assigned to my name? Just read it once.
192.168.0.100.
And 106 it is.
106. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the IP address which is assigned to me. Okay. So because like it will I connected my mobile also to Wi-Fi network. Okay. So it's assigned with some other IP address. Okay. So like that
Okay.
it differs actually. Okay, from network to network. Okay. So that's how we can see what is MAC address and what is logical address. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go further. Okay. Like we have the classification of IP addresses. Let's see that. 1 minute. Second. Okay. Cool. So we have the IP addresses ranging from. Can you tell me now what are the IP addresses we are having? The logical addresses?
Class A, Class B,
No,
Class
no,
C.
not these classes actually. Starting IP address is 0.0.0.0, right?
Yeah.
And the highest IP address is 255 dot
Oh,
255 dot 255 dot 255. Okay. So among these ranges, okay, like so this IP address will be managed by IANA. There is one organization called IANA. Okay. Okay. So it will be managed. Okay. So here what they did, they have segregated this range into multiple classes. Those are class A, class B, class D, class E. These are the 5 classes I can say in simple. Okay. So the IP address are starting from 1.0.0.0 to 126.255.255.255. Okay. So those they are considered as a class A addresses. Okay. So we can say, like in simple, how we can tell, class A, it is starting from 1 to 126.
126.
Okay. And class B. Okay. So here if you can observe, class B is starting from 128, right? But where is
Yeah.
127? 127 they are using for some loopback IP addresses. Okay. Okay. 127 is 127 addresses is called loopback IP address. We won't be used anymore. Okay. So class B starting from 128 dot 0.0.0 to 191.255.255.255. Okay. So here how the IP address will be assigned. Okay. So it's starting from 128.0.0.0, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So it will start like this. Okay. Now next IP address is 128.0.0.1. Next 0.2 until 255. Okay. Once 255 done, then 1.1, 1.2. Again here also 250 till 255. You got the like logic, right?
Yes.
So once 255 filled in the last octet, then the left side it will be incremented by 1. Okay.
Okay.
So here also 255 done, then it will be incremented here.
Okay.
So like that only. So suppose like let me show in a, like this. Okay, one second. Just consider 128 only, class B, right? 128.0.0.0. This is the I mean starting IP address, and the last IP address is 191.255.255.255. Okay, so how it will come here? So if you can say the range it is, right? So here 128.0.0.1. Okay, like that it goes 0.2 until 0.255. Okay, so 255, then plus 1 it will be increased here. Okay, 1.1, 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, like that 255, then 2.1. If here 255 and 255 is there, okay, then what happened? 128.1.0.0 again. So here 1.0.1, 1.0.2, it will goes on like that. Okay, so these
Okay.
many IP addresses we have. You got the logic, right?
Yeah.
So these many IP addresses we are having. So among them, like they have divided, and class B it's having, class A it is from 1 to 126, we can say. Class B it is from 128
8
to
to 1.
191. 191, like I'm just telling the first octet only. First octet only, if you remember, if you see here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not telling all these things. Otherwise, default it is, like starting is 0 and ending is 255 only, na. So that's why I'm not mentioning that. Okay, class C is starting from 192 to 223. Okay, class D 224 to 239.
2.
Class C it is nothing but 240 to 255. So these are the range of addresses whatever we are having, and they divided into 5 classes, that is class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E.
Okay.
Okay, that is about the classification. So here like I mean again these are divided into multiple things I'll tell you later on. But for now we have the IP address and the classification. You got it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And here like among these IP addresses, okay, so class A, class B, class C is there, right? So these classes generally everyone can use. Okay, like I can say, suppose you hosted a website. Okay, so like in general, like mobile networks and IT companies, everyone they are using only class A, class B, and class D only. First three class only they are using now. Okay, class A,
Okay.
B, C. Okay, and D and E is there, right? It can be used for multicast traffic and research and development. So multicast traffic meant, like if you can say traffic signal something, it will be there, no? So they where like multicast traffic in the sense, like both can send and receive the information. I'll tell you what is multicast. But for now, what I want you to know about first three only we are using now. A, B, C, and
Okay.
D and E it is used for some different purposes. Okay, so class D is used for multicast traffic, and class E used for research and development. Okay, so if any research and development companies are there, okay, so for them class E will be assigned.
Okay.
Class D for multicast traffic. Okay, so this is about like IP address classification.
Okay.
Okay, and so among these addresses, okay, so like class A, class B, we have like these are the range of addresses, right? So one way they divided into A, B, C, D, E, right? And in the other way they have divided into two things. One is private IP and one is public IP address. Okay, private IP
Public
and
IP.
public IP. So here private IP is nothing but like inside an organization. Okay, inside organization, private IP. Outside, if it is going, it's a public IP. Okay, I'll tell you why it is. Okay, so they have like from A, B, C is there, right? Class A, class B, class D, class E, right? So among them we are using mainly A, B, C classes only for private IP addresses. Okay, so like the name I told like Ayana, it's an like organization, okay, who is managing this all IP addresses. Okay, so among them from A class A, how many we have? 1 to 120,
126.
126, right? So class B
128 to 191.
191. Okay, class D 192 to
223.
223. Okay, so here we have. So what they did, Among these IP addresses, they have taken some set of IP addresses, and they told it's a private IP address range. Okay, so here from class A 10 dot. So here we have starting what it is 1 dot 0 dot 0 dot 0 to 126 dot 255 dot 255 dot 255, right? We have the IP addresses from class A. You got
Yeah.
my point? So here what they did, some series which starts from 10 dot 0 dot 0 dot 0 to 10 dot 255 dot 255 255. Okay, this series we need to consider as a private IP addresses. Okay, so it covers this many number of IP addresses. Okay, hundreds, 40, like almost 1 crore of IP addresses is there. Okay, from private addresses. Okay, so these are the private addresses what we are having. 10 dot. So from class A they taken this series 10 series as a private IP. Okay, and from class B they have taken from class B what starting from 128 to 191, right? So what they did 170 to 16 they taken.
Okay.
You got my point, right? 172 16 to 172 31 255 to 255. They have taken this range as the private IP address from class B. And from class C, 198 to 168 0.02, 190 to 168 255 to 255. They have taken as a private IP address from these three ranges. Okay. So you
Okay.
got the point why it is coming here, because if you can say class B, we have from 128.0.0.02 191.255.255, right? So from them what they did, so we have from 129 130, like that it will come till 191, right? So between they have taken 176 172.16 to 0.02 172.16, sorry 31 255 255. They taken the small range as a private IP address. Okay,
Okay.
you got the point, right? Like how they categorize the private IP addresses.
Yeah.
Okay, so after dividing what they did, okay, so they mentioned that only these private addresses can be assigned to the internal networks. Okay, internal networks in the sense, so let me tell you an example. Okay, so here if you can see now in the growing world, we are having like a number of companies coming into the picture, like lots of like crores of employees, right? Okay, so if you want to send information or receive information, it needs to be assigned with some IP address, right?
Yeah.
So if you assign single IP address to one person, how it would be? See, we are having only some limit, right? There is limit in the IP addresses. Okay, that is from 0.0.0.0 to 255.255.255. So if you assign single IP address to everyone, it won't be possible at all, because we have the limit in like IP addresses, that is 0.0.0 to 255.255.255. So that's why they have taken like this concept coming into the picture, that is private IP addresses. So inside the organization private IPs will be assigned, and outside in internet public IP addresses. Okay, so suppose you are the user who are in the organization. Okay, and you are trying to access google.com. Okay, and there is some other person who is trying to access google.com. Okay, so you'll be assigned with some private IP addresses, and your private IP addresses won't be accessible over the internet, okay, in the public network. So you'll be assigned with some IP address called public IP address. Okay, so if you can see here a small example. Okay, so there are many users who assign with some private IP addresses. Okay, so 192.168 is the private IP address series, right, from class C.
Mm.
So everyone is assigned with some private IP addresses, and when they are trying to access internet, it will be going with some public IP address. This everything will be hidden with this IP address. Okay, so I let me show you a simple thing. Okay, so you seen my private IP address, right? This is my private IP, if you can see.
Yeah.
So when I'm trying to access internet, okay, so there should be public, because this IP is this private IP, whatever I'm showing now here, 192.168, it won't be accessible in the internet. So it should be mapped with some public IP address. Okay, so just open Chrome and just type like what is my IP address? What is my IP? So it is showing some. Let me show you. It's checking. There are two classification actually. This is my IP address, public IP. You got it?
Yeah.
So 192.168 0.106 is assigned to me. Is a private IP address. Okay. So whoever is assigned, like I'm connected to my mobile also, this Wi-Fi. Okay. So it's assigned with some different private IP address. Okay. But when they're trying to access internet, as this private IP address are not accessible over the internet, our private IP address will be netted with the public IP address. Okay.
Okay.
So this is about like private IP and public IP. And the public IP, it will be purchasable. We need to purchase the public IP addresses. But private IP, it's a free of use. We can use any number of private IP addresses because we are using inside our organization only, no.
Yeah.
So, but public IP addresses, we need to purchase that. Okay. So in detail, I'll explain you, again, private IP and public IP, in the coming class. Okay. So for now, what is the host? Okay. What is, like a MAC address? What is IP address? And how to view that? If you got the clarity, that is fine for today. Is it clear, Jivan?
Clear.
Yeah.